Your partner walks away, but there is no court, money, or house to divide. There is only a hungry child, a small camp, and relatives quietly choosing sides. So what happened when an ancient couple separated? And could either person survive alone? First, we must abandon the image of one universal prehistoric marriage system. Ancient relationships varied across thousands of cultures, environments, and countless generations we cannot directly observe. Bones can reveal injury or die, but they cannot preserve an argument beside a fire. Researchers therefore combine archaeology with human biology and carefully documented hunting and gathering societies. Those comparisons are not time machines, but they reveal what flexible human partnerships can look like. The first surprise is simple. Separation was probably neither impossible nor unusual. Across studied foraging societies, long-term pair bonds exist alongside widowhood, divorce, and remarriage. Among the Savannah Poom, researchers followed marriages across 25 years of detailed demographic records. Some unions ended through death, while others ended because the living partners separated. Most people whose first marriage dissolved eventually formed another recognized partnership. That does not describe every ancient population, but it destroys one misleading choice. Humans were probably never forced to choose between lifelong fidelity and permanent loneliness. But leaving a partner could still be dangerous, especially when young children depended on both adults. A pair was not merely romantic, it could be a working survival unit. One adult gathered plants, watched children, maintained shelter, or carried water and fuel. The other might hunt, defend the camp, share meat, or maintain alliances with neighbors. Actual roles differed widely, but losing any reliable worker created an immediate gap. For a mother with several dependent children, that gap could become a food crisis. For a father, separation might mean losing daily contact with children and trusted relatives. Yet ancient families were rarely isolated couples living alone beyond the campfire. Humans evolved an unusually cooperative system for feeding, carrying, protecting, and teaching children. Research among ancient highway foragers measured food moving into households from adults outside each pair. Couples with dependent children received help from unmarried adults and other families inside the group. People also carried children, collected firewood, built shelters, shared information, and cared for injuries. This wider network changed everything. When one relationship failed, a child could still receive food from grandparents, siblings, uncles, aunts, or unrelated helpers. A separated parent might return toward close relatives or remain near familiar cooperation partners. Even the former partner might continue feeding or protecting a child after the adult bond ended. Separation between adults did not automatically erase parenthood, although customs certainly differed. The greater danger may have been losing the network attached to the partner. Human unions often connected families, camps, and people who exchanged food, tools, information, and protection. When a couple separated, those alliances could weaken, split, or become openly hostile. There was no judge, but the community still had enormous power over the outcome. Relatives could offer shelter, pressure someone to return, or refuse to share scarce food. Reputation mattered because survival depended on people remembering who cooperated and who repeatedly abandoned obligations. A violent or unreliable partner might become costly enough that relatives supported separation instead. We cannot know the private motives behind prehistoric separations, and we should not invent them. Conflict, infertility, jealousy, violence, poor provisioning, or simple incompatibility are plausible, not proven universal causes. What happened next depended partly on where each person could go. Forager camps often changed membership, allowing people to move toward siblings, parents, or other trusted companions. In the Poom records, subsequent marriages involved relocation more often than first marriages. A new partner could therefore mean a new camp, new helpers, and a repaired alliance. Remarriage was not simply replacing romance. It could rebuild a damaged survival system. The new household might include children from earlier partnerships alongside children born later. That created step-parenting long before written laws define what a step-parent should do. It also created tension over food, attention, inheritance, protection, and loyalty between different relatives. Cooperation never eliminated conflict, it made relationships both more valuable and more complicated. This explains why pair bonds could be stable without always lasting for life. Familiar partners coordinated work, recognized children, and connected to sets of valuable relatives. But humans also possess the flexibility to leave, move, seek support, and bond again. That flexibility may have been as important as loyalty when death, conflict, or failure broke a household. Children may have made every decision harder because they required years of feeding, carrying, and patient teaching. Moving them to another camp meant moving obligations, memories, and claims between two networks of relatives. Some children likely stayed near their mother, while others remained connected to fathers and paternal kin. There was almost certainly no single prehistoric custody rule shared across continents or millennia. Instead, outcomes probably reflected local custom, bargaining power, available helpers, and the child's immediate needs. The absence of written law did not mean the absence of rules, expectations, or consequences. Knowledgeable elders could remember obligations and relationships reaching beyond one camp or one generation. Their memory may have functioned like a social record, guiding who owed food, protection, or continued care. So an ancient breakup was probably not one dramatic walk into permanent exile. It was a negotiation involving children, food, kin, movement, reputation, and future partners. The couple could end, while the larger human web kept both adults and children alive. Ancient humans survived broken relationships for the same reason they survived almost everything else: other people.